Cartoons, the animated frontier. These are the voyages of the Cellcast podcast. Its continuing mission to explore strange new cartoons, to seek out new animation styles and new creative storytelling methods, to boldly go where so few ever go again. To another episode of the Cellcast. Joining me today is a man who, well, he's going on a quest to try and figure out where all the unicorns have gone. That did not play out like I wanted it to. I was trying to go for more of a Johnny Depp thing. Welcome, Jacob.
Well, the journey never ends. to paraphrase this movie.
In a way.
Why, thank you. Let me introduce our co-host, a man who just wants to eat a taco. Welcome, Drew.
A taco? You said your pun for me was going to be a quote from the movie.
It is a line from the movie.
I swear I don't remember the taco line.
There's a taco line.
Okay.
I will discuss that in detail later.
Oh, wait a minute. Is this from the stupid butterfly?
No, this is not from the butterfly. This is from the... I
have words about that butterfly.
Oh, the butterfly was odd. But no, this is a scene. This is a scene from the Robin Hood and Merry Men kind of scene.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, where they're asking
anyway.
Shroom to sit down. Because he says, be like, sit down, and and enlighten us about stories and have a taco.
Okay, I don't remember it.
Odd line. I was like, what the world was that?
I don't remember it, but okay.
All right.
How are you doing, Jacob?
I am doing well. It's been a very... I've started working, going to work at 7 now, so it's me. Yeah, me. I know.
So
yeah, I know it's horrible. Yeah, I know. You get to be at work what 6:30? 6:30.
At least 6:30.
I get to work around 6:30.
I'm surprised we haven't run over each other yet. Then, except I still would be leaving before you probably.
Yes.
You probably don't actually leave here till 6:30.
No, I don't leave the apartment until 6:30.
Exactly. I would have left 15 minutes before that point.
Right.
But anyway.
Yeah, either way. Yeah, I'm doing great. There again, thank you guys so much. Last week I was kind of suffering. I was getting over that sinus infection for all you guys who had...
And boy, is my editing finger tired. Ladies and gentlemen,
welcome.
Ladies and gentlemen, those of you who listen to the podcast portion of this episode may be unaware, because I know the people who watched the stream last week are very much aware, that I do not have a cough button. All I have is mark the podcast and catch it and delete it later.
Yeah.
And nearly every edits that week was Jacob's coughing again. And now I've got to figure out a way to mix what we were saying together in a way that makes sense.
You're welcome.
It's all good in the hood.
Yeah, guys, thank you so much for your kind words and your prayers for my recovery. I am doing much better. I still have the slightest little cough or this little tickle in my back of my throat, but other than that, I'm doing fantastic. How are you?
Oh, I'm doing fairly well. Just a little bit, issue here and there, but nothing serious.
Yeah, stuff we all deal with.
Happens all the time. But
exactly.
I haven't watched a lot of good movies. But what have you been watching?
What have I been watching? All right, so. I was fortunate enough to I dog sit for a family over the weekend, and they had gone out. I think it was like they were doing a Father's Day trip, and they were like, "Oh, can you go visit, babysit the dogs?" I'm like, "Oh yeah, sure." I did that for them a couple of years ago, and the wife generously offered again. I was like, "Yeah, sure, not a problem." And yeah, they have some very spoiled little dogs. they're great dogs, but they're spoiled as can be. So during the course of that weekend, I watched a few more episodes of Toradora.
Okay.
Yeah, which is absolutely hilarious. And the thing I always pull away from that is don't make Taiga angry. Do not.
You're not wrong. You are not wrong.
Yeah. If you've ever watched the show, you can go watch it on Netflix. If you have a subscription to Netflix, go watch this series. You can be hardcore otaku or just like an animation fan like myself and just enjoy this series tremendously. It's in English. It has an English dub. So yeah, it's a lot of fun. And to tie in such a great show to a really bad show, I'm not going to recommend. So apparently I think this is the second highest ranked show on Netflix right now, and I don't understand why. Record of Ragnarok.
Okay.
So I saw it and I was like, oh, that looks interesting. So I watched the first episode. I'm like, and the history nerd in me, the mythology nerd in me is like, no, this is not how this works. And I'm watching this like, this is like you're pulling. Basically, the story is that the quote unquote gods and little g, like from all mythology in the world, have come together in order that they are going to destroy humanity because they've gotten tired of humanity's whining.
Mm-hmm.
All I would say in that be like, if you're these quote unquote gods, look in the mirror. So either way, so the quote unquote gods are voting to either destroy humanity or allow them to remain in their current state for another 1,000 years. Think Mortal Kombat.
Right.
So this who is that? A Valkyrie decides to be like, oh, I'm going to try to
Brunhilde, maybe?
Possibly.
It's the only Valkyrie whose name I actually remember.
Right. So apparently she goats the quote unquote gods into a tournament to see the fate of humanity, that if the gods win, humanity loses, and if humanity wins, they still get to live for another 1,000 years. And it's just like, what in the, like, design wise, I'm like, what in the world? Like, one thing, like the first fight, which I watched half of it, it's Thor, who looks like, it's just weird. Like his hammer design is just like, what in the world? This is not a hammer. This, like, okay, Mjolnir, hammer. No, this thing looks like a 10-story building. He's trying to swing. This is not a good design for a hammer. And plus, like, yeah, he's got red hair, but he's not dressed like a Viking. He's not a Norse god. He looks like your traditional anime, good-looking guy, stud muffin, whatever, character. And I'm like, I'm not buying this for 3 seconds, people. It's like, nope, thank you. So yeah, I would recommend not watching it. Everybody I have talked to who have watched it are like, nope. So yeah, I will not be recommending Record of Ragnarok to anybody. So if you have a different opinion, if you have watched Record of Ragnarok, please comment where you're watching this or listening to us, and tell me how I'm wrong, how great the show is, or comment about how you don't like the show. We can get a conversation started about that. But either way, and also we watched some very interesting shows at our friend Chase's house.
Yes. You forgot the name of it.
Yeah, absolutely.
I looked up the actual full English name. It was Welcome to Demon School, Iramakun.
Yeah, that was
fun.
It was fun, don't get me wrong. But it's the basic idea of a young boy who has had a miserable life, and apparently his very deadbeat parents sell his soul to a demon.
Pretty much.
And now he is the quote-unquote grandson of a demon, and now he goes to demon school.
And it's a better life than he had before.
Yeah, he's got this grand life, but now he's more scared to death that he's going to get eaten by these demons. And every turn, it's like, oh, he just beat this person. Oh my gosh, this character is now his servant. And it's like, what the heck? I was blown away. It was so much fun watching this, and thankfully it was in English. But yeah, just fun. Oh my gosh.
If you want to watch it, it's on Crunchyroll, so go watch it there.
Yeah, go watch it on Crunchyroll. So that is all I have been watching. What about you, Drew?
I saw the weirdest Godzilla movie I've ever seen.
Roar. Tell me more.
It's called All Out Attack.
All Out Attack.
It is, as far as I can tell, the kaiju don't actually walk around, aren't actually in the quote-unquote world of this movie.
Okay.
They're all in the, all we ever see them in is while this kid, who is our main character, is dreaming when he takes naps.
Okay.
And in these, the Manila, the son of Godzilla.
Yeah.
He talks. In Japanese.
Okay.
Because I had to watch the Japanese version.
Okay.
And boy, they were really saving money on this one because I could point out every single movie they took the footage from.
Okay.
Almost all of the footage is from stock footage of all the monsters.
Wow. Okay.
All of it.
Wow.
No, it was a all-out attack. That was the name of the movie, Paul. It is weird to say the least. Thankfully it was the shortest one I've watched so far.
Okay.
At an hour and 10 minutes. But man, that movie was... I know why it's considered the worst Godzilla movie.
Okay.
It is.
Okay.
Now, admittedly, I know how some people feel about 1998's Godzilla.
Yes.
I would say that's not actually a Godzilla movie. But anyway.
Hey, it was the first Godzilla movie I ever saw.
Fair enough. The reason I say it's not a Godzilla movie is Godzilla's not technically in it. Officially, that character is named Zilla.
Yeah.
Not Godzilla. But anyway,
yeah.
That is beside the point.
Yes.
Because it's Godzilla for all intents and purposes anyway. I also watched the movie right before that, which was the similarly named, but far better and far more fun, Destroy All Monsters.
Okay.
That was a fun movie.
Okay.
It had, everyone was there. You had Godzilla, you had Mothra in larva form, you had Angrigus, you had Rodan, you had King Ghidorah show up at the end of it, being King Ghidorah and being the jerk that King Ghidorah is, but you know how it goes. And that was the most fun hour and a half I think I've had in a movie since Godzilla vs. Kong.
Okay.
And then I watched All Monsters Attack, and I go, you were doing so good. You were doing so good.
Oh my god.
Josh Batra was not in this one because this predates Batra. I'm talking 1968's. What did I say the name was? Destroy All Monsters.
Yeah.
1968's Destroy All Monsters, and then All Out Attack was 1969.
Wow.
I'm talking about there ain't no computer-generated graphics because computers don't really exist yet. It is all suitmation, and it's fun. Kind of suitmation. Until you get to all Monsters Attack, and that's just like, oh, I can tell y'all were making a quick buck with this one. And then along with Irma-kun, which you mentioned, I also watched some more Assassination Classroom.
Okay.
Been enjoying that. But I've also been playing some video games.
Okay.
So I've been playing Persona 5 Strikers.
Okay.
Now, do you know, if I said Dynasty Warriors, would you know what I was talking about?
I have the smallest inkling of Dynasty Warriors.
Well, Dynasty Warriors is essentially an action RPG where you fight thousands of enemies at the same time.
Okay.
It is the craziest button masher, and it's kind of fun. But I prefer it more not with the original Dynasty Warriors, ancient Japanese Romance of the Three Kingdoms characters. I prefer it with all this other stuff. So, for instance, Hyrule Warriors was fun. Both the Hyrule Warriors games I played. Both the original and Age of Calamity, which I recently beat. But then, I played the original Persona 5, and I'm part way through Persona 5 Royal, and I just decided to go ahead and jump into this one, and it is fun.
Okay.
This is a fun game. The story is excellent, far more excellent than I think it has any right to be for the kind of game this is. So I can definitely tell the writers are from the Persona team and not the Dynasty Warriors team. But it is a lot of fun. I've been enjoying the fool out of that game. So
alrighty.
But yeah, that's pretty much what I've been playing and watching.
All right.
And I don't know if we did talk about E3 last time, so never mind. We'll just skip that.
Yeah.
We all know how bad E3 was. But anyway, we actually have some news for a change.
Yes, we do, actually.
So why don't you tell us what that is?
All right. So going into the news, I know a lot of people have been asking about bringing back the news, so we are going to do a small news segment right here.
Mostly because we actually have news.
Yeah, we actually have news. And this is one that we actually had a commenter say, what? Really? They're pushing it back? So to many fans' dislike, Sony Pictures Animation, their long-awaited final installment of Hotel Transylvania Transformania, yes. Transformania, was originally scheduled to be released July 23rd, but it's now been pushed back to October 1st.
I would say that actually makes a bit of sense.
It does. It does make sense.
To the fact that I actually thought it was still in October till I saw that news post.
Yeah, so apparently now it would be in direct competition with another spooky animated sequel, MGM's The Addams Family 2.
I still need to watch The Addams Family 1.
Yes, we still need to watch that. So yeah, this movie will be coming out October 1st, 2021, instead of its original release date of July 23rd. Because I know a lot of people have been like really looking forward to this. Me, after watching Hotel Transylvania 3, hoping that they do better.
Yeah, I agree with you there.
So, like, there's fingers crossed, be like, I hope to do better. Or maybe they needed to go back and do some rewrites or reworks, which is never a good sign for a film.
No.
Well, it depends on what film it is, but either, what they're doing with it. But either way, so Hotel Transylvania 4, the final installment, Transformania, will be releasing October 1st. So, if you are planning to watch it, rewrite your schedule, which we're going to have.
Which we're used to at this point.
Yeah, which we're used to right now with thank you, pandemic. Thank you, COVID. Thank you so much. So, yeah, just, rewrite your schedule. If you are one of these people that is diehard, I got to watch everything that's animated in the theaters now. So, yeah, just rewrite that, and probably something else will come out on Netflix for you to enjoy on that day.
Okay.
Either way, so that is all we have for in the news.
That's all we got in the news.
Yeah.
We're not going to mention the fact that we screwed up.
In what way?
Well, Luca did come out last week, and we didn't even touch on it.
Oh my gosh! Yes, we dropped the ball. We do apologize for that.
We will be getting a reaction of Luca out soon.
Yes.
For y'all guys.
Yeah. Apparently, life just got ahead of us.
In my defense, our defense actually, I will say this is in our defense.
Yeah.
It was on Disney Plus, and it didn't go to theaters, and it fell off of our radars because
Yes, it did.
It was not showing up on any place we normally go to keep up with this sort of thing.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm going to blame Disney on this one.
Yeah.
I'm with Pixar. I blame Disney for this.
Yes,
it's their fault.
I agree with you on that.
Should have been put in the theaters.
Agreed. So yeah, guys. So yeah, there again, we do apologize for that. We kind of dropped the ball on that,
but we will get that taken care of probably this weekend.
Probably. So yeah, look forward to that. Like I said before, if you have watched Luca, comment down below if you enjoyed it. Please, no spoilers, because neither one of us has seen it yet.
Correct.
So yeah,
all I know is sea monsters are involved.
Yes.
I don't even know if it's the sea monsters turn human or the humans turns into sea monsters. I don't know which.
We don't know, so no spoilers.
I have literally not paid attention to any trailers.
I gotcha.
Since February.
I gotcha. So yeah, we'll be jumping on that this weekend. So if you are like clinging to, oh my gosh, I got to hear the Cellcasters reaction to it. So it's coming. It's coming. Patience.
All right. Anyway, when we need to go ahead and jump into the spoiler-free section.
Yes, we
on
do.
The Last Unicorn. You've actually seen this movie before this thing, so why don't you go ahead and start us off?
All right. So The Last Unicorn. This was a movie I saw when I was a really small kid. And I had lunch with my dad, and I told him what the movie we were reviewing, and he told me flat out, be like, "You never saw that in our house." It's like, Dad, we watched this movie a dozen times when we were kids. I remember lines like verbatim in this film as a kid. So yeah, I have very fond memories of this film. It's a very weird film. It was done in the 80s, and during the 80s was this huge swords and sorcery. Just look at most of the films that came out in the 1980s.
It was probably due to Dungeons and Dragons, if we're being honest.
Probably. But it's a very unique story. It's got some unique characters. It's got some problems, let's say that. Definitely in a clock scene, that's just kind of weird. And some odd audio things here and there, but I'll get into all of that later. But all around, I have so much nostalgia for this and an enjoyment for the film. It's going to be really hard for me to say, that's like, well, this is garbage, but I'm going to give it this number. And I'm not saying this movie's not garbage. It's not garbage. But I thoroughly enjoyed this film. I really, really enjoyed it. How about you?
This is the first time I had ever seen this any frame of this film. I thought I had seen a clip from it in something else, but having I watched this movie, I don't know what that something else. I don't think I saw it.
Okay.
So I was wrong with that. But anyway, this is an interesting movie.
Okay.
I'll grant you that. It's got a lot of interest. It sounds like I don't like the movie, and I don't want you to think that, because I actually did enjoy the movie.
Okay.
But it's I don't have nostalgia for it, so it's hard to get really the issue. Some of the issues with it kind of just glare out to me more.
Yeah, totally understand.
You should, if you've not seen it, you should go watch it. I will say that right now, because it was, the acting, with one exception, was good. I'm curious if you know who I'm talking about.
We'll get into it in
a minute. The story was good. It's just one of those movies that you can definitely tell by watching it that it was made in the 80s.
Yes.
By the people who were in the middle of making Thundercats. Around that time.
It was a little bit before, because Thundercats was made in 1985.
I wasn't sure on the timing.
This was made
this is around that time.
Roughly.
And you can tell it's kind of got that feel to it.
Yeah.
Not that that's a bad thing. It's just there's some things that over time have not aged quite as well as we would have liked them to. It was, I will say this.
Okay.
I do think I enjoyed it more than The Black Cauldron.
Okay. So
there is at least that. But yeah, I think that's pretty much my thoughts on it. I think you should go watch it if you haven't seen it. I enjoyed my time with it. So yeah, you should go watch it.
Yeah.
I think that brings us to the end of the spoiler-free section, unless you got something else you want to add.
I think I'm good, man.
All right. Well, then join us on the other side of the bumpers, and we will get to spoiling this thing.
Yep.
Ray. Wrong. Okay. This progress is part of Christian Geek Central Network. Wrong. Hey, Scoop. What are you doing, man? I don't know. I'm supposed to be reading an ad. All right, hold on. Give me it. Okay.
All right. This podcast is part of the Christian Geek Central Network at ChristianGeekCentral.com.
There you can find a collection of blogs and podcasts working together to bring you some of the best content on the web for Christian geeks, such as Strangers and Aliens, a conversational podcast and blog that explores the relationship between God and man through the lens of speculative and imaginative fiction, and explores speculative and imaginative fiction through the lens of God's relationship with men. Join Ben, Dr. Jace O'Neill, and Steve McDonald, a trio of Christians who are both fans and creators of story, in their conversation about the intersection of faith and imagination. Do you like trivia shows but wish you could stay a little longer with the contestants? Do you wish that if those contestants didn't know the answer from memory, they could Google the answers? Do you love finding out how many of certain objects fit between the Earth and the Moon? And do you want a game show that is completely unfair? Then might I suggest the Raw Quiz Show, where Ryan Ashley Wall pits and competes against 5 different combatants each season to see who is the true trivia champion. And you can find it over at Pop Americana, which the podcast you're listening to is also a part of. Go to the link in the description to find out more.
The following is a spoiler-filled review for the movie The Last Unicorn. Listener discretion is advised.
The Last Unicorn was directed by Jules Bass and Arthur Rankin Jr., a.k.a. Rankin Bass, who is probably most famous to people all around, at least America, for creating the Christmas specials we all know from the 70s, such as Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, Jack Frost. Well, yeah, there was a Jack Frost one. Frosty the Snowman was actually what I was trying to say, and many, many others.
Yes.
You
can't forget Thundercats.
Also Thundercats right after this.
Yes.
It was written by Peter S. Beagle, who also wrote the story that it's based on.
Yeah.
And he wrote some episodes of he created the Little Mermaid television show.
Okay.
And he wrote the Star Trek The Next Generation episode, Sarek. A very good episode.
Okay.
Getting into the cast, the unicorn, a.k.a. Lady Amalthea, was played by Mia Farrow, and she's most famous for playing Rosemary Woodhouse in the movie Rosemary's Baby. Schmendrick was played by Alan Arkin, And in the upcoming movie Minions: The Rise of Gru, he's playing the character Wild Knuckles. Part of me wants to know if he's an echidna.
Okay.
Anyway,
Good one.
speaking of Gru, Molly Gru was played by Tammy Grimes. And in something called Can't Stop the Music, she played Sydney Channing.
Okay.
I don't know what that is, but good for her. King Haggard was played by none other than Christopher Lee.
That's Sir Christopher Lee.
Sir Christopher Lee, my apologies. And he is probably most well known for playing Saruman the White in Lord of the Rings.
And we can't forget he played Dracula.
Can't forget he played Count Dooku, too.
Yeah, that is true.
And the man with the golden gun,
That is true.
Scaramanga.
Yeah, absolutely incredible actor. If you've never seen anything Christopher Lee, go look up his filmography. He's done so many incredible films, and he fought in World War II.
Yes, and he might be the person that the character James Bond is actually based on.
Yeah, which would make total
be.
sense.
Yeah, because he and Ian Fleming were pretty good friends.
Yeah, interesting.
Also, what was the other thing that I heard about him? Apparently, he has a metal album.
I heard something about that. It's like, okay.
It's like I somewhat want to find out what that is, but apparently it's like fantasy metal or something. I just barely remember looking into it.
Or it's like Leonard Nimoy's Hobbit thing.
Leonard Nimoy's Hobbit thing is funny. It's fun to watch. Anyway, back to this. Prince Lear was played by Jeff Bridges, who has played Kevin Flynn and Clue in both Drawn movies, even though that's technically two different Clues, technically. Robert Klein played the Butterfly.
That's going to be interesting.
And he played Philip Warren in How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days.
Huh?
Yes, the movie How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days.
Okay.
He played a character in that named Philip Warren.
Okay. Never heard of this movie. I heard how to lose a girl in 10 days or something like that. I guess it's the prequel or sequel or
It's the only one of these movies I've heard of, so
okay.
it's a chick flick, I think.
Yeah,
And I
so-
think
so
it's
it's-
actually based on a Shakespearean play.
Mostly everything is
But
nowadays.
it actually is based on intentionally based on a Shakespearean play.
Never mind.
But anyway,
Yeah.
Mommy Fortuna was played by Angela Lansbury, and in Bedknobs and Broomsticks, she played Mrs. Price. Captain Cully.
Whoa, wait a minute.
Oh, she's also Murder She Wrote in the Murder She Wrote.
Yeah, and
You're referring to Mrs. Potts.
yes, I think it's
Mrs. Potts was not going to be left out. It's just I was going to bring that up later
Okay, then. I
because
know
she
certain
comes
listener
up
of ours would be like, "You're missing the biggest part."
coming. It's coming because she reprises her role in something else.
Okay, then.
So let's move on.
Okay, then.
Where was I? Okay, Captain Cully and the Harpy were played by Keenan Wynn, and in Doctor Strangelove, or How I Learned to Stop Worrying and Love the Bomb, he played Colonel Bat Guano. That is the character's name.
I still have your copy. I'm watching this movie at some point.
Yes, it's a good movie.
Okay.
Mabrook, the Tree, and the Cat were played by Paul Frees.
Okay.
And from 1961 to 1986, he was the voice of Ludwig von Drake in the Disney cartoon.
Okay.
That's the musician, the professor from those ones. Talks with a German accent. This is a bad version of Ludwig von Drake.
Okay.
He's supposed to be kind of like Beethoven.
Oh,
in a
okay.
sense.
Okay.
Beethoven is a duck, but not deaf.
Okay.
At least that's how he was started out. But anyway,
Oh.
the Skull was played by Rene Auberjonois,
Okay.
who you probably know better as the chef from Little Mermaid.
Ah, okay.
But I know him better as Odo from Star Trek Deep Space Nine.
Oh, that is interesting.
Rook was played by Theodore Gottlieb, and he apparently played a character named Ruben Klopek in something called The Burbs. I didn't know that one. There's apparently another character named The Cat. I didn't remember there being two cats, but I'm not going to say there's not two cats.
Okay.
But that one was voiced by Don Messick, a.k.a. the original Scooby-Doo and Astro.
Yeah.
He played a cat.
He played a cat.
That was not the cat that was played by Paul Frees.
Yeah. Not the R cat.
Yes. May be that cat. I don't know.
No. Someone help us out because we have no idea.
Why are there two cats? I don't know. Honestly,
trying to
I bet
remember.
it was the one-eyed cat because that kind of sounds like
Don Messick.
Don Messick. Now that I think about it, getting into our Kingdom Hearts connections, we mentioned Angela Lansbury also having played Mrs. Potts. Mm-hmm. You wouldn't let me get past that without mentioning that she played Mrs. Potts.
Of course.
Well, she reprised that role in Kingdom Hearts 2.
Ah.
And last but not least, Christopher Lee has a role in Kingdom.
I heard of this.
His real role, because we are playing through Kingdom Hearts, I can't tell you his real name because I do not want to spoil it.
Okay.
But for now, I will say he is the voice of Diz.
Okay.
Capital D, lowercase I, capital Z. Diz.
Diz.
But only in Kingdom Hearts 2.
Okay.
All his other times he shows up, he's played by somebody.
Okay.
Which brings me to the end of the Kingdom Hearts connections, which I think we had some pretty good ones this week.
I would agree.
Info and stuff, please, sir.
All right. So, info and stuff. You can watch this for free on Tubi TV, or you can rent it from Amazon, or watch it for free if you're Amazon Prime Video. Mm-hmm. All right. So on IMDb, it has a 7.4 out of 10. On Rotten Tomatoes, it has a 76 and an audience score of 70 or 86%. Its production was, and I'm going to get this right because I always say it wrong, Rankin Bass Productions, because I always say Frankenbass. For some reason, I always say Frankenbass.
Just think of poo. What are those stupid cats?
Wily Kitten Cat?
Yes. Just think of Wily Kitten Wily Cat using the Forever Bag.
Yeah. How do they say it?
Ronkenbass.
Ronkenbass.
They say Ronkenbass.
Yeah, Ronkenbass.
But you know what? That's probably the closer of how you actually say their last name is Ronken.
Yeah.
Have a ronkin' good time. But anyway, moving on.
Yeah, Rankin Bass. Yeah.
Yes,
Rankin Bass.
Bass.
Rankin Bass. I will say Rank and Bass, but it's Rank Bass Productions. Topcraft and IT Films is distributed by Jenkins Fairlay Pictures or Sun Classic Pictures, which oddly enough, during the theatrical run, they went out of business. I was like, what? They ran out. They literally the company went under. They had to file bankruptcy. And that's why the film made as much money as they did, because they didn't get any of the box office numbers. And little known fact, like when this company went under, according to people who are close to the film and have gotten stories from people, be like, apparently they were theaters because they didn't have anybody to send this money to. They just kept playing it for months and months, even into a year and a half. After the company had shut down, and they were still showing this film to a year and a half. And I will get into that in just a minute. All right, so its release date was November 19th, 1982. So a month and a week before I was born. So let's just say that. So box office. It had an estimated budget of $3.7 million. Its opening weekend was $2.2 million. That was November 21st, 1982. Its U.S. gross and worldwide gross was $6.4 million. So it quasi doubled its budget.
Yeah.
So going back to what I said earlier, there is possibility this movie probably sold more than probably. There's a possibility, even though we don't have the numbers, we don't have any real hard data for this, but there is the idea this movie made almost 100 times more money than it did during its theatrical release. So just saying that this movie made a lot more money than its box office record indicate. All right, so going into home release, the information I'm getting from it is not indicating it had a DVD release or a VHS release. I remember this had a VHS release. I could not find information on its VHS release, but I do have its DVD release information. All right, so it was the first time it was released on DVD was by if you ever watched Ninja Turtles when you were a kid back in the 80s and 90s, you are very familiar with Family Home Entertainment, or FHE, released in 2004. it was from a poor quality pan and scan transfer master, which is always fun. Thank you, Goofy Movie.
That was not a pan and scan transfer.
I thought it was.
No, it was widescreen.
Oh, well, never mind. All right, so the 25th anniversary edition DVD was released in North America on February 6th, 2007, with better visual audio superior to its original release. It was released in widescreen. Apparently, several swear words were edited out of this version.
Which I don't think that's the version that's on Amazon, because I heard the D word 2 or 3 times.
Yeah, you did. The new DVD edition, which was released, this new DVD release included featurettes of interviews from the author, as well as gallery original theatrical release. As of October 11th, over $2.5 million of this DVD alone has been sold. A Blu-ray edition of this film was released by Lionsgate in February 22nd, 2011. This release was sourced from a new transfer from the theatrical cut from the film, thus restoring the swearing and the correct the speed up issues, which apparently that's not the issue in the version of mine, because apparently there's speed up issues somewhere. Though the 25th anniversary is still includes an option in this on June 29th. 2015, Shop Factory released a new Blu-ray DVD version of The Last Unicorn, entitled The Enchanted Edition. This edition was transferred from a new widescreen 2K digital master. It has a slew of features for the animation nerds like me who love special features. This has a really, really good documentary and a really, really good commentary. So I would highly recommend getting that copy. That is all I have for that. That's all I have for info stuff.
All right, getting into the summary. A unicorn learns from 2 hunters and a butterfly that she is the last of her kind, since a malevolent entity called the Red Bull has herded unicorns to the ends of the earth. The unicorn journeys to find them. The unicorn is captured by the witch Mommy Fortuna and displayed in her midnight carnival. Most of the attractions are normal animals, enhanced by illusions to appear as mythical beasts. Fortuna uses a spell to create another horn on the unicorn's head, as the carnival visitors cannot see her real form. Fortuna keeps the immortal harpy Seleno,
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, captive as well, deeming the risk secondary to the deed's prestige. The unicorn is befriended by Schmendrick, an incompetent magician in the service of Mommy Fortuna. With the help of Schmendrick, the unicorn escapes, in the process freeing Selena, who kills Fortuna. The unicorn and Schmendrick gain a second traveling companion with Molly Grew, the careworn lover of Captain Cully, the disappointing reality behind the Robin Hood legend. When the unicorn nears the seaside castle of King Haggard, she encounters the Red Bull, a monstrous fire element. Before she can be captured, Schmendrick uses his unpredictable magic, transforming her into a woman. The Red Bull becomes uninterested in her and departs, but the unicorn is shocked by the sensation of mortality. Schmendrick promises to return her to normal after the quest is complete. Schmendrick, Molly Grew, and the now human unicorn proceed to the castle. Haggard is at first unwelcoming. Schmendrick introduces the unicorn as Lady Amalthea and requests that they become members of Haggard's court, only to be told that the only occupants of the castle are Haggard, his adopted son Prince Lear, and 4 ancient men-at-arms. Haggard consents to lodge the trio, replacing his more competent wizard, Mabrook, with Schmendrick, and setting Molly Grew to work in his scullery. Mabrook leaves after recognizing Amalthea for what she truly is, jeering that by allowing her into his castle, Haggard has invited his doom. Due to her new human emotions, Amalthea begins forgetting her true self and falls in love with Prince Lear, and considers abandoning her quest in favor of mortal love. Haggard confronts Amalthea, hinting at the location of the unicorns, yet from the waning magic in her eyes, she doubts regarding his suspicions that she is more than what she seems. Molly learns the location of the Red Bull's lair from the castle's cat. Molly, Schmendrick, and Amalthea are joined by Lear as they enter the bull's den and are trapped there by Haggard. Schmendrick explains to Lear what they are looking for and reveals Amalthea's true identity. Lear declares that he loves her anyway. This makes Amalthea want to abandon the quest and marry Lear, but Lear dissuades her. The Red Bull appears, no longer deceived by Amalthea's human form, and chases after her. Schmendrick turns Amalthea back into the unicorn, but she is unwilling to leave Lear's side. The bull begins driving her toward the ocean just as he had driven the other unicorns. Lear tries defending her, but is killed by the bull. Enraged, the unicorn turns on the bull and forces him into the sea. Carried on the incoming tides, the other unicorns emerge from the water. With their release, Haggard's castle collapses into the sea, and Haggard, watching all from the battlements, falls to his death. On the beach, the unicorn magically revives Lear before she leaves him. Schmendrick assures Lear he gained much by winning the love of a unicorn, even if he is now alone. The unicorn later says goodbye to Schmendrick, who laments he wronged her by burdening her with regret and the taint of mortality, which could make her unable to properly rejoin her kind. She disagrees about the importance of his action, as they helped restore unicorns to the world and made her experience love. Schmendrick and Molly watch the unicorn depart for her home. Getting into the trivia for this,
All right.
Sir Christopher Lee, who played King Haggard, showed up for the recording sessions, armed with his own copy of the book, with several places marked to indicate things that must not, in his opinion, be omitted. This is similar to his behavior on The Lord of the Rings, The Fellowship of the Ring, and its sequels, in which he also showed up on set with his copy of the books, and was often a stickler for exact fidelity to the novels.
You gotta love nerds.
Mm-hmm. In 2010, co-director Jules Bass revealed that Jeff Bridges called him out of the blue, volunteered to do the movie for free, and recommended his friend Jimmy Webb for the soundtrack. A live-action version of the novel has toiled in development hell over the years, though it has reached various states of pre-production at times, even with Sir Christopher Lee and Dame Angela Lansbury set to reprise their roles. But as of 2013, and really, let's face it, at this point, ongoing legal disputes stemming from the animated movie, coupled with budgetary issues, have stalled the project, though author Peter S. Beagle has completed a new screenplay and still expresses hopes that the movie one day be made, just without Christopher Lee at this point, considering he's passed. Author Peter S. Beagle showed up at a recording session during the making of the movie as Sir Christopher Lee recorded King Haggard's monologue about how unicorns brought him happiness. Lee begged Beagle for his approval of his vocal performance, offering to record it again if the author found it unsatisfactory.
That sounds like Christopher Lee.
Sir Christopher Lee also provided King Haggard's voice in the German version of the movie. Due to contractual disputes, author Peter S. Beagle received no compensation for the sale of any of the original DVDs or VHSs.
What?
A 25th anniversary edition of this movie was released by Lionsgate in 2007, which apparently they did.
Yes.
The word Schmendrick, which is the name of the character Alan Arkin plays, is based on the Yiddish slang word schlemiel, which means unlucky bungler.
That totally makes sense.
Yeah. The animation for this movie was done by the Japanese studio Topcraft, who also animated Nausicaa of the Valley of the Wind in 1984. Same
Really?
year.
Okay.
Around the same year. Anyway,
2 years later.
the riddle that befuddles Ruck, why is a raven like a writing desk, is the famous unanswered riddle asked by the Mad Hatter in Alice's Adventures in Wonderland by Lewis Carroll. Carroll wrote the riddle as nonsense. It has no answer. This has not stopped people, despite being repeatedly told that there is not, nor should there be, any answer, from trying to contrive one. Amongst the suggestions are because Edgar Allan Poe wrote on both, and because the notes for which they are noted are not noted for being musical notes. The second of these is very similar to a solution that Lewis Carroll wearily suggested when he grew tired of people asking.
Oh my gosh. Wow. It's an unanswerable riddle, people.
It's not supposed to be answered. The harpy's name, Selena, is the name of an actual harpy from Greek and Roman mythology encountered by Odysseus. When negotiating for the making of the movie, author Peter S. Beagle told associate producer Michael Chase Walker that he specifically didn't want to work with the Rankin Bass Company.
Right.
When Walker told Beagle that they had signed a deal, he was horrified and threatened to pull out of the project. However, he met with Jules Bass and Arthur Rankin Jr. and liked their ideas, so he agreed to work with them. You already talked on that. Lady Amalthea's name comes from Greek mythology. When young Zeus was hidden from his father, the brutal Kronos, he was fed from the milk of a goat named Amalthea. Many years later, and after Zeus finally defeated Kronos and established himself as the new king of Olympus, he rewarded the goat who fed him by turning one of her horns into the famous Horn of Abundance. In September of 2003, Carlton Communications, successor to ITC Entertainment, claimed that they earned over £1 million in revenue from DVD and cable television sales of this movie. During this period, author Peter S. Beagle had not received his contractual share of the income, which included 5% of the net profits from all revenues from this movie, 5% of the gross revenues from all related merchandising, $20,000 for any and every sequel or remake, and various fees for any possible television series adaptations or spinoffs. When negotiations with Granada over this issue failed to yield any results, a public campaign for support was launched on Peter's behalf by Colin Press in August 2005. Having worked together on this movie, Sir Christopher Lee became the godfather to associate producer Michael Chase Walker's son Joshua Devon Walker, who is now a prominent music producer in Los Angeles, California. Alongside The Secret of Nim in 1982, Watership Down in 1978, and The Plague Dogs in 1983, this is easily considered one of the darkest and most violent animated movies of the late 20th century. These movies were rated G and PG in the cases of Watership Down and Plague Dogs. Additionally, all of these movies were released before the existence of the PG-13 rating.
Yeah, exactly.
Last but not least, during the scene when Prince Lear, played by Jeff Bridges, is confronting the dragon, if you listen closely to its roars, you can hear the same roars originally used in the older Godzilla movie.
That totally makes sense.
So they must have got out the contrabass, because that's the instrument used to make the Godzilla roars. And that is the end of my trivia.
Okay.
Do you mind if I jump into likes first?
Well, I do want to bring in one little thing because the author,
Peter Beagle.
He said
Peter S. Beagle, but
Peter
whatever.
S. Beagle. Let's get it right. Peter S. Beagle had said in the commentaries that when he was writing the book, he was just writing it like just fluid, just like right here and there, here and there. So when he was thinking on Prince Lear, he wasn't thinking of it. Like he figured out the spelling. Oh, this is just spelling. He didn't take into consideration that you have Prince Lear would eventually become King Lear.
He has a point there.
Yeah. So yeah, I thought that was interesting because he used things or used like whenever you're writing something, you're just doing something. It's like, oh, that sounds like a great idea. Wait a minute, I didn't realize the whole connotation of this whole thing. Oh, I'm clever. Or oh my gosh, I made a mistake.
I could say both of those things about many of the subtitles I've made for episodes of this show.
Sometimes it's like, yay, it's a great idea. It's like, okay.
It's like I really should learn to be more concise.
Either
in
way.
my case.
Yes.
But anyway, my first like for this movie.
Go.
I am going to jump straight into the deep end, if you don't mind.
Okay, so we're diving deep into the ocean.
In a sense,
Okay.
Schmendrick, Molly Grew, and Prince Lear. I love how these three characters, despite their backgrounds, actually are pretty much the true believers in this story. Schmendrick was a pretty much down on his luck magician,
Right.
who was horrible at his job. If we're gonna get right down to it, Molly Grew was someone who was waiting for unicorns all her life, and then became an old woman and had to marry common law marry the first guy to pay attention to her. And despite being the adopted son of the most evil human in the land, Prince Lear is actually a pretty decent guy, and I like the redemptions because these people, had the unicorn not come into their life, they would have gone on about their lives without realizing what they were missing.
Yeah.
And the minute that they meet the unicorn, they're along for the ride.
Oh yeah.
They are following the unicorn. They don't care what happens. That is where that is their place at that point, and they are full on board 100%. The reason I say this is the deep end of this discussion.
Okay.
You've been bringing up recently a lot of the Christian things you're seeing.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So in a way, I've kind of been feeling left out because I hadn't thought to do this, and this one just kind of jumped out at me.
Okay.
As Christians, we all come from different walks of life.
Exactly.
Life until we meet Christ, and then we are on we're following Him.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if we were, in my case, a kid who just liked acting on stage, which is what I was when I came to Christ.
Okay.
Or I don't know what yours was specifically.
Yeah, mine was primarily, I was 9 years old when I surrendered my life to Christ.
Yeah.
I mean, like, I had a general very happy childhood, And I love drawing, and so yeah, God just kind of just led that talent to even further. And yeah, I think your walk with Christ, definitely when you come to know Christ, your Lord and Savior, it's your life is dramatically changed. Sometimes it's not
even something you realize, but you realize you have to do it.
Yeah, you're compelled to do it.
You're compelled to do it, and surprisingly enough, you want to do it.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's that want is a little harder to remember you wanted some days.
Yeah.
But other days it's not.
Yeah.
It just depends on what's going on. And so I'm fairly certain, I don't know what Peter S. Beagle's religious lookings on life are.
Yeah.
But I like how, if nothing else, he tapped into this truth that when something like, if you think of the unicorn as kind of an I'm going to say imperfect Jesus analog, because nothing's going to be a perfect Jesus analog. And
okay,
let's face it, she didn't actually die and then come back to life.
No.
And
she's an immortal being.
She is an immortal being, but she did become a human and learned about regret and emotions.
Mm-hmm.
So there is that aspect of it, but then it's somewhere along the way that analogy is going to break apart. Okay. And I don't quite know exactly where it is, because it's only been 36 hours since I watched the movie.
Okay.
So I've not thought too closely about this.
I gotcha.
But I like the fact that the way it's shown, it's like they felt the draw to go to it and they didn't turn back, even though it would have been easier on their lives.
Yeah.
To turn back away from the unicorn and let the unicorn go and do its thing.
Yeah.
It would have been easier for all three of them, because they had pretty decent lives.
Yeah.
At that point. Or maybe not decent, they were okay. They were lives they could live. They knew how to live those lives, even if they weren't great.
But the unicorn drew them in.
And Schmendrick, he was just a sloppy, very bad wizard. But over the course of helping her, he became much better and became a true wizard.
Yeah.
Molly grew, and she finally realized who the unicorn was actually angry at the unicorn, despite the fact it was not the unicorn's fault. It's like, where were you? Why weren't you here 20 years ago when I was young?
Yeah.
So things didn't work her way, but the unicorn's there now, and she's willing to follow it. And Prince Lear literally falls in love with her, despite the fact he doesn't even know she's an immortal horse with a horn on her head when he meets her.
Right.
And ironically, they fight a fire elemental, which, let's face it, that could be an analog for the devil that King Haggard might be unwittingly serving, despite the fact he thinks the bull is serving him.
Yeah, it's kind of like it's a reverse of...
Yeah. But I mean, I just like how there's these Christian themes all throughout this movie that I'm fairly certain the author didn't intend, because, like I said, I don't know if he's Christian or not, if he intended it that way. This doesn't feel like when you go back and you watch Narnia, and you can definitely tell he meant all of that.
Mm-hmm.
This feels like it's a little bit more ambiguous, and maybe that's just because I'm seeing it through the lens of the movie and not the original story.
Yeah.
So there is, other people's creative thoughts interjected into that, making it a more collaborative work. But I mean, I enjoyed the fact that all that was there.
Yeah.
And I liked seeing that there. So yeah, that's my first like. Is I called this the Redemptions, because it's what I was focusing on.
Yeah.
But it was the redemptions from their normal lives and becoming better people because of it.
Yeah, it's through their interaction.
And there was nothing they could have done on their own to do it. It had to be because the unicorn showed up.
Yeah, it's the idea that people who fall in with an immortal creature who becomes mortal realizes love and sorrow and regret. And obviously be like from the Christian viewpoint, you can see all those parallels through your faith. I know some people won't see that because they don't have that Holy Spirit guiding them in that way. So yeah, that's a really good analysis right there. It's really, really good. Good job.
Thank you.
Mine, it's actually a quote from Smendrick.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, and that's that exact same scene when they are about to run from the bull. There's no such thing as a happy ending, because the story hasn't ended yet.
No such thing as a happy ending, because the story doesn't actually end.
Yeah, the story hasn't ended yet. So it's that idea that we have this idea that in our modern mindset, that once we get the girl, we get the guy, we get the job we wanted, we We like all these great things. We have this idea that like the story's over, or we have these different things that go on in our lives. Be like, oh, that's my happy ending. No, it's not. And I think it's a good parallel that like, yes, be like, yeah, your life is happy right now, or it might not be happy. Be like, your life might be in the dumps, but your story isn't over. Be like your journey. They kind of use the Christian parallels of that. Like that's only a season of our life. That's only a point in life that Christ has put us through, and we are going through this season. Either that's good or bad, but in the end, He's still going to be there for us. You would never leave us, never forsake us. And that's like a comfort for that. Like, even though it'd be like, yeah, we might be high in the mountain. In the next moment, we might be in the valley. We might be in the valley of the shadow of death. But in the same way, be like, I will have no fear because God is with me.
Yeah.
And it's just that idea that we have that the journey isn't over. It's like using a point our pastor likes to use that, like, if you are a pastor, if you're someone in ministry, that once you reach retirement, does that mean you're officially retired as a Christian? No, that means your journey is still there. Be like, your sanctification is still going on. Be like, you're not going to stop trying to share the gospel of Christ to the people. You are still going to strive to do that, and like that is a lifelong journey. And I've seen so many people where it's, oh, I got married, my happy ending. Be like, I got everything I want. No, it's not. Your life's still going, and you don't know down the road. Be like, things can get bad. They'll be like, I recently something in my life. I'm not going to get into it, but like I saw something that was just be like, wow, that's what I want. That's what I want in a marriage. And one thing led to another. It didn't last, but hopefully, prayerfully, things get better. If not, Lord's will be in it. But and just the idea that life doesn't stop once you get your happy ending, or the fact that you may never get a happy ending. And that's one thing that we don't want. We want the happy ending. And the notion of this film that not everybody gets what they want. Like Prince Lear doesn't get the girl. He doesn't know what happened to her, or does he know? Does he know that she was? Yeah, he knows she was.
He gets a look at the unicorn
in
unicorn form.
Yeah,
but I don't think he actually knew that was Lady Amalfi.
Yeah.
And he knew that she was a unicorn, but doesn't know if that unicorn he saw was her.
Yeah.
So he doesn't know if, as far as we know, he doesn't know if she died or what.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just like Smidrick and Molly, like, yeah, they go off together. So we don't know their story. We don't know if these two get married or not. Be like, that'd be an interesting book. And wonder if the unicorn follows them or like goes back. Obviously, she goes back to her forest or her meadow. But yeah, it's just like, life doesn't stop when you get what you want, or like life doesn't stop when things get bad. Life continues. Like sometimes when like life, like you hit rock bottom, it's like, Lord, take me home because I don't want to deal with this. The same way, be like, if you have that relationship with Christ, it's like, be like, He is your rock, He is your strength in that time. Be like, this is going to be a season. It's going to hurt, or it's going to be the most beautiful thing in the world. But at the same time, the story is not over. So just be mindful when you are going through hard times and you have that faith, or you're struggling with something, you're thinking it's like, be like, I have nothing to cling to. Talk to somebody, and you might hear some good news out of it, and that might be your rock. So yeah, life continues in good or bad times. So your story is not over, either in the fictional world or in the real world.
That's where I thought you were.
Yeah, life finds a way. In a more of a Christian parallel.
That's true. That is very true.
So yeah, that is my number one.
All right, my number two is a little less deep. I like the fact that the way they designed the unicorns, it actually does kind of look like the breaking of their manes look like the breaking of waves.
Yeah, it is very interesting.
So that when you actually do look down, it's like, oh, I can see that. Especially when you zoom in. Yeah, when they finally get zoomed in, and it's painfully obvious.
Yeah.
Because that's one of the downsides of the animation is some of that doesn't quite work anymore.
No, it doesn't.
But, I mean, I liked how they at least tried.
Yes.
Just like, oh yeah, I can see how you'd say that's the break. That's the unicorns right there. Because some of those shots from a distance, it just looks like the breaking of the waves as it normally would there by the sea.
Right.
But as it zoom, as you're looking and you're paying attention, you realize, oh yeah, I can see how you would how the unicorn heads could be the breaking of the waves, getting close enough to see, close enough to land to be there, but not coming up on land because it doesn't want to anger the Red Bull.
Exactly.
But yeah, that's my second like. I like how they actually looked like they could be the breaking of the seas.
Yeah, it's a very
waves.
interesting design. Like I watched this last viewing. That's like, you know what? Like that doesn't make sense. It totally makes sense. I never saw that. Good observation. All right, so my number 2 would actually be the unicorn herself.
Oh,
It's the fact that you have a unicorn. It's described in mythology that are immortal. The unicorn in the movie says, like, yes, we can be hunted, we can be killed, but we are never forgotten. Mm-hmm. So
how can they just disappear?
Yeah, how can they just disappear? And she goes on that journey of understanding, or trying to understand this, like leaving the safety of her forest, because in her forest she can't die.
Yeah.
And apparently nothing else in her very odd forest can die either.
Apparently.
Apparently.
At least while she's there.
Yeah, at least while she's there. I wonder if she gets
And
back
it's
and is like,
never
oh my
winter.
gosh, no one's here.
Yeah. Does make you wonder. It's like she gets back, and the only animal that's still alive, that stupid butterfly. We'll get to him in a minute.
Yeah, we'll get to him in a minute. But the fact that you have a unicorn who goes on this journey, of discovery, and it's discovering the cruelty of life, the cruelty of knowing suffering, knowing pain, where like you live in your enchanted forest and there's nothing that can harm you, or nothing will harm you, but you journey out into the world and you are thrown into the mystery of the Red Bull, the King Haggard, not Hagrid.
Right. Haggard, as in the term meaning old and worn down.
Okay, Haggard.
Which pretty much describes how he looks.
I agreed. Minus he's voiced by an
By
amazing
Ray
actor.
Christopher Lee.
Yeah.
More on
Sir
him in a
Christopher-
second.
Yeah. But yeah, it's the fact to be like, and then she's turned into a mortal woman. And it's the fact to be like, she says, be like, I can feel this body dying every second. Mm-hmm. But now she understands mortality. She understands the idea of love. She understands the idea of regret. Where earlier on in the movie, she goes in detail of how she doesn't know how regret feels. Mm-hmm. And so now it's a unicorn who has felt the sting of mortality, in which we all have. We're mortal.
Yes.
We don't have a... We're not a unicorn, which I know a lot of people wish they were. Like, can't live forever. The only way we can live forever is we have this relationship with Jesus Christ and that full sanctification to be with Him in paradise or in heaven. And so that's the only way. So
yeah.
They're again tying Christianity with this, but it's the idea that this immortal creature understands what it means to be mortal. Mm-hmm. Understands what everybody else, because she is so stuck up about everything that everything's beneath her. But when she starts to realize her mortality and she starts forgetting why she's there, who she is, and she doesn't remember that she's a unicorn, she starts falling in love.
She starts to forget.
And I just love the idea that now you have a unicorn, an immortal creature that now understands what it means to be like everybody else. And it's just that amazing idea that a mythical creature that can live forever now knows what it means to love. Because like you look at any other kind of mythological creature, definitely like the unicorn. And I thought it was a very interesting idea that now an immortal creature knows what it means to be mortal. And you mentioned where Molly had gotten frustrated.
Yeah.
The reason was in what was that? That was in medieval literature.
Yeah. The unicorn always comes to fair maidens.
Exactly.
And she never got to see one because...
No, she didn't.
Even though she really wanted one. till she was in her 40s.
Yeah.
She was no longer a young and pure maiden.
Yeah, exactly.
Definitely, probably no longer pure because she'd been hanging out with Captain Cully a while.
Yeah.
I suspect he was not a chaste man.
I would presume not. But yeah, it's just this idea that an immortal creature knows what it means to be mortal and is kind of it changes her perspective of life. And maybe it's be like there again, I'm hyper speculating here, but it's just the idea that like, you know, what was the true lesson of, instead of be like, oh, I knew regret, knew what love is, but there's got to be more to that. There's got to be more that like you be like you have a more a greater respect for everything else. And so it's just the idea that just the idea that the unicorn knows regret. She knows what love is. She knows what mortality is. She knows what the sting of death means, to use another biblical reference. So yeah, that's my number 2.
All right, my number 3, Sir Christopher Lee's performance.
Yes.
I will say right now, he's the one who did the best in this film.
Okay.
There's not a point where I didn't believe every word he was saying. I can't say that about a lot of the other characters. More on that here in a couple minutes.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's Christopher freaking Lee.
True.
How can you not believe what he says? Especially the amount of he threw himself into this role in a way that really nobody else in the film did. But yeah, I liked Christopher Lee's performance. I thought he did very good in that.
Alrighty.
What's your third like?
My third like would have to be the scene with the skeleton.
You liked Odo's scene.
Yeah, Odo's scene.
Odo's scene. Well, how I will always remember Rene Aubergenois,
Oh, okay.
who played the skull.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it's the fact that this talking skull, which is, I'd love to understand the story behind why this talking skull, this skeleton, what have you, is sitting on this mantle, and apparently is the guard of this clock.
I'm sure
And,
McBrook had something to do with it.
I would presume so.
And that might be why Schmendrick had so much trouble with it.
But the scene in which I'm referring to, which, if you've seen the movie, you know what I'm talking about. The scene where Schmendrick is trying to get the riddle out of the skeleton, and the fact that he is seduced to giving the information for wine. Like
He can't
taste. You're dead. But it'd be like, I can remember the smell. I can remember the taste.
Considering it's water
Yeah, it was water.
the whole time.
It'd be like, yeah, you turn water into wine. I wonder where they got that from.
Yeah, what I do wonder. But then Schmendrick can't actually turn water into wine, but he can make it act like
He can have it smell like it.
He even did that, because I'm sure the skeleton couldn't smell that either.
No. But it's the fact to be like, he is so he's seduced by the idea of be like, I want wine or something like that. It's like that desire of something you haven't had in who knows how many years or centuries or whatever. But I love that scene. The character design, the design of the skull character, the fact that he gets his bones become flush when he's, obviously he's drinking nothing.
Yeah.
But it's just that euphoria of like, oh my gosh, I'm drinking wine, even though I'm not drinking anything. It's that full memory. Oh my gosh, this is amazing. But just that whole scene was great. And then when the skull realizes that Lydia Mafia is not what she appears to be, like, oh, it's the unicorn.
Yes. Oh no,
Haggard.
Oh no, I let them into the Red Bull. Wait, the Red Bull will kill it. Never mind, let's keep going.
Yeah.
You should have killed it.
It should have killed it. But yeah, just that whole scene when I was a kid, I loved it so much. And as an adult, I have so much more appreciation now, understanding more of like the idea that you are like the idea we're tempted so easily for something that like maybe we can't even taste or something like that, or have no desire for anymore, but it's just the remembrance of something. It's like, ooh, I really want that again.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's my number 3.
I just thought of a horrible pun.
Okay.
The unicorns that were been driven into the sea, do you know what they were?
What?
Seahorses.
knew it. I knew it.
Sorry, I that just came to my mind, so I had to say it.
The puns.
Yes. That brings us to the end of our likes.
Yes.
So now we need to get into our dislikes.
Yes.
My first dislike, with the exception of Christopher Lee, everybody in this film sounds like they're in a sound booth recording their line. They don't sound like there's a disconnect between the characters and their voices that makes me go, oh yeah, these are actors sitting in a sound booth, speaking into a microphone and acting off of nothing. Because there's nobody else in the room except for the sound engineer, and he's probably just tired and wants to go home. Maybe Rankin Bass is in there, but who knows? But for the most part, it's just him in there acting and trying to act off of anything, except for another character, but we'll get to her in a moment. Almost every character in here just sounds like like I said, like they're in a sound booth.
Okay. I totally get that.
Do not know any other way to put it. And there's even what sounds, I don't know if, in some cases, it sounds like they're on entirely different sound systems, and the sound system is not as good as the main one. In some cases. It's like, oh my goodness. I am not, despite the fact I am the editor of this podcast, and I've had to learn things about audio that 3 years ago I never would have even paid attention to. I know I'm still not an audiophile, but I caught crap in this. It's like, oh, you people needed to do this better. But yeah, there's one exception. We'll talk about that in just a minute.
Okay.
What's your first
All
dislike?
right. My first dislike actually is the audio in this movie. There are certain moments where, like, you hear a cat meow out of nowhere. There's no cat in sight. Or the fact where Molly is talking with the pirate cat.
That must have been the other cat.
That must have been the other cat. Because you hear
a Don Messick, because we already decided that was the pirate cat.
Yeah.
Which is what we're calling him now.
So there's little audio clips here and there. It's just like, what in the world is going on? Like you said, the voice actors besides Sir Christopher Lee, it's like there's really no like passion behind what they're saying. It's
no, that's not what I was saying.
Okay.
There is acting and being involved.
Okay, my mistake.
There's acting being involved, but they are not acting off of each other. They are acting off of a wall.
Yeah.
They are looking at their lines. They have a wall from it, and they are visualizing what everyone else is doing. And maybe they've got someone off screen reading the other line, and then they're hearing in their headphones, and then they are giving their full performance. But they have no idea how anyone else is acting in that scene. That's what it sounds like.
Okay. I totally get it. Apparently, like, most of the cast could not get together, so that's why you have like Sir Christopher Lee and Jeff Bridges, be like those guys. But they had the guy who played Smidrick. They had the woman who played Molly. Be like, you had most of the cast were in one. So in those scenes, they're playing off each other. So I totally get it. I totally get it in some scenes where it's more like it sounds like you're talking to a wall. Mm-hmm. I totally get that. Where my number one's coming from is that there are so many different, like, very different audio
qualities
just jumping all over the place. Mm-hmm. There's be like one, you hear a buzz at one point, you hear like little like I call it audio clips, that are just completely random from out of nowhere, and it just drove me nuts. I'm like, what in the world's going on? Like you said before, it's like they really either A, they really didn't know what they were doing, or B, they're not paying attention.
Yeah.
So,
or C, which is what I suspect, they edited this movie on the quick.
Could be, you never know. But yeah, it's just the random audio sound clips that come up here and there. It's just like you hear a cat in the background, but there's a cat right there. Doesn't sound like that cat. Mm-hmm. Probably Don Messick. Who knows?
I still say he's the pirate cat.
He's probably the pirate cat. You never know. If you know what the real deal is, please let us know.
You know what a pirate cat says?
Meow.
Pretty much. Except it's more of a sorry.
Either way. So yeah, the random audio little clips and jumps and whatever, it's just like drove me nuts. Mm-hmm. So yeah, that's my number one dislike.
My number two dislike. I mentioned, like I said earlier, that most of the voice acting felt like they were not acting off of each other, then they were acting off a wall, which makes it feel a little bit. Well, they're doing their best. Don't get me wrong. They're doing their best acting.
Right.
It's just there's a little bit of a disconnect.
Okay.
The sole exception to this is Mia Farrow, the unicorn.
Oh, okay.
Let me explain. Everyone else, she is facing the same problems everyone else is facing.
Yeah.
The problem is she's not acting at all. I don't know how she is in real life. It's one of those weird things. Like, on one hand, okay, I know for 2/3 of the film, really until they face the Red Bull for the first time and she turns into a human, she has virtually no emotions. That is by design.
Yeah.
I could let that go. And she's overacting a touch when she gets emotions once she first turns into the human.
Yeah.
But then it sounds like she's sleepwalking throughout the rest of the film. She's trying to be the unicorn, but is trying to put a little bit of emotion, but is not really getting there. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Her acting is pitiful throughout the movie. Now, like I said, at the beginning, it worked because the character is not supposed to be feeling anything. She's supposed to hoity-toity, nose up in the air. I am a unicorn. All you vile things can look down at my feet. Sort of a thing. Yes. I can't believe you caught me in this cage, Mummy Fortuna. That sort of thing.
Right.
But here's the thing. She still acts like that when she's Lady Amalthea. And she, with the exception of her crocodile tears, and that's what it was. Those were crocodile tears. Where she's like, I fear this body more than I fear the Red Bull. And I'm thinking, yeah, the Red Bull crap. You don't even feel anything. You have no emotion. Did you read these lines before you came in here? Did you think about how you're supposed to be acting? You are no longer the unicorn. Act like someone who just realized they're dying for the first time in their frickin' lives. And now act like you are actually falling in love with Jeff freaking Bridges. Maybe she didn't know it was Jeff Bridges. I don't know. But she doesn't act. Her acting as a unicorn can be rationalized.
Okay.
As to why she's acting like. When she's the human, I don't think she realized she's supposed to be playing the character differently, except for now she's actually feeling things.
Yeah.
And the way that's supposed to work is that should work in my mind.
Yeah.
Once she turns back into the unicorn, she should be a mixture of these two things, because she's back immortal again and doesn't feel regret naturally, but she remembers what regret is like and knows if she was human, she would be feeling regret.
Yeah.
And so she reacts in that kind of a way.
Yeah.
Admittedly, I am spoiled because I grew up watching Star Trek and I heard Mr. Spock or Data speak. And these are characters who, quote unquote, don't have emotions, which I would say bullcrap to because I can tell they have emotions. They are just very subdued. No subdued emotions at all.
Okay.
I'm not, like I said, I could see how maybe she was doing her best to not even have subdued emotions at the unicorn for the first 2/3 of the film.
Yeah.
But she should at least, and she should have wilder emotions while she's Lady Amalthea, and she should then have subdued emotions at the very end of the film. And she's literally playing the same unicorn she was at the beginning of the film. The character has no growth! Except, oh, now I understand love and regret, and now I'll be the only unicorn who ever existed who feels these things. Ah! You are the protagonist of the movie. Your acting is more important than everybody else's, and you failed. That is why that's my number 2 dislike.
Okay. So I oh my gosh, wow. But okay, I totally get where you're going.
And I understand people will disagree with me.
Yes.
This is how I took it.
Okay, I will disagree with you in a little bit here when she realizes the mortal cause of mortality
Too, but
morality, yeah, like things are actually coming to her. Like the actress' performance in that, it's like, okay, I'm getting that. Like the fact her line of I'm a unicorn. It was like, wow, okay, that was good. Like everywhere else is like, yeah, I totally get it. But
as the unicorn, I'm actually would be fine with her performance.
Yeah.
The other third of the movie actually had worked better with it.
yeah,
Like I said, because I can rationalize the first 2/3 of the movie, her acting away.
yeah,
But it's that last third, it's like you fail miserably. And why does throughout the entire movie she has that stupid sound effect thing on that makes it sound like she's talking through a tin can that's supposed to make her voice sound dreamy? Why is it there throughout the whole movie? She's a human, the dream effect should go away. It really sounds like she's recording into her cell phone that didn't exist. Is she FaceTiming from the future? What's going on? It's like she's holding her phone up to the microphone. Or someone's holding the phone up to the microphone so they can record it.
I am a unicorn, and I must be looking for all my friends who have all gone away. And I will find the Red Bull, and I shall kill him.
Tell me I'm wrong!
I do not feel love or regret because I am a unicorn.
Dude, that was awesome. That was so good. Wow, I'm shedding tears of laughter here. Oh my gosh, I don't know if I can follow that up.
Well, what is your number 2 dislike?
Okay, my number 2 dislike is the song of this movie. Oh my gosh.
Glad you mentioned them since I wasn't going to.
Oh my gosh. It's like, okay, these are like, granted, these are probably, they were written in the late 70s and the early 80s. So you have song lyrics that are like, what the heck are they talking about here?
Okay, I have to mention this.
Okay.
I will have to ask Francisco of the Retro Rewind podcast if I can use this audio. But
Okay.
Saturday, I was in his stream and it came up, he asked what we were recording this week, and I told him, Last Unicorn. And he starts singing a rendition of the opening song.
Oh my.
And it's bad.
The Last Unicorn?
Yeah, but here's the thing. It's bad, but it's better than the actual song.
Oh my gosh.
I will have to let you hear it, and I will be talking with him to see if I can use this audio.
Oh my
in
gosh.
the show. I will edit it in, I swear, if he'll let me.
Yeah, it's just.
I will throw it in right.
And the last eagle flies over the last something. Da 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 da. Da, 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 da. And the Red Bull chases all the unicorns into the sea except for.
All right, so we like the songs were all written by Jim Webb. Apparently,
Because it ain't Jimi Hendrix.
no, not Jimi Hendrix.
Imagine these
That's Jimmy Mattingly.
as metal song. When the last unicorn. Okay, sorry.
Oh my gosh, I'm gonna die from laughter here. But it's just like, oh my gosh, it's like if you ever listen to like 70s songs, they make no sense.
Yeah,
Most
I'll
of them
agree
make
with that.
no sense. Like listen to
Roundabout
by
Yes. That's the name of that. Which I learned about from watching JoJo's Bizarre Adventure.
Oh wow.
It's the ending song.
Oh okay. Yeah.
Boom, boom. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. So, oh my gosh, but like half these made no sense. The song that, there's one song I really like in this movie, and most people will agree with me, is "Man's Road," which is the second song written.
Oh, good night.
I enjoyed it a little bit, like the hook. It's like walking Man's Road,
it would
but
work.
everything else is like, what the heck are you talking about?
Here's the problem with Man's Road. It would work as a standalone song.
Yeah.
But as a unicorn walking from the forest and getting caught by Mommy Fortuna makes bloody sense.
So yeah, like the song lyrics they're odd, they're weird. They
go out of their way to say things about the movie.
Yeah.
But they didn't need to.
Yeah. Oddly enough, when they were in the middle of animation, they had not gotten the songs yet.
Obviously.
So when the songs were finally written, the animators had to go back and put those songs in there. It's like, wow, okay.
It had to be re-edited back into the film.
It'd be like they were.
And they don't.
It's so weird.
They really, none of them fit.
The song, like, just like, what in the world are they talking about? What was it? I
don't know. I kind of started tuning them out.
The song between
After the third time through Man's Road.
Yeah, it's just a little. The song that got me was the duet.
The one I quit paying attention during, and I think story bits happened that I missed, and I had no idea how they got there.
Maybe the duet between Amalfi and
yeah, it's
Lear.
supposed to be that, but it doesn't sound a thing like him. That's
Yeah.
why he's fighting the dinosaur. It's supposed to be Godzilla,
Something like that.
or has Godzilla's roars.
Yeah.
Yeah, I read that. I thought, I don't remember that scene. I must have missed that. I do remember hearing him saying, "Yes, I'm back from fighting the dragon." And going, "What dragon? You weren't fighting a dragon. You were singing a love duet that I wasn't listening to."
Yeah, that is all I have to say. Be like, that was just the weirdest song on the planet. It was like, oh, this is cringy to hear. Or Lady Amalfia's song, Now That I'm a Woman. It's like, eek, okay, stop, please.
This
Stop.
is not a musical. Please stop.
Hit stop. Play just regular music in the background.
Yes.
Hire someone who knows how to sing, please.
Or better yet, don't sing. Play something nice instrumental and just say what you want to say with your stupid little dream songy voice.
But either way, it's like the songs, A, they make no sense. 2, the duet is just like cringe and is like, Now That I'm a Woman is like, eek, okay, this is kind of weird. It was like you said, it was like talking into a cell phone, into a microphone.
But
or
before cell phones existed. Because a car phone wouldn't have sounded that.
yeah, sounding like this the entire time. I sound like Bane.
Pretty much.
But yeah, it's the songs. Oh my gosh, that drove me nuts.
I am a unicorn, and you only thought you were born into magic. I grew in it, and I didn't even leave the forest until I was 10 years old.
Or whatever.
Schmendrick, you idiot.
All right, so what is your number 3?
That stupid anachronistic fly.
Oh my gosh, wow.
That butterfly threw me off because he's at the very beginning of the movie.
Yes.
And it's while you're still sitting in that point, it's like, okay, what's going on? What time is it? Is this medieval times? Is this modern day? Yeah, sure, they showed the 2 hunters in their garb, but for all I know, that's Renaissance fair guys. Loki may have made me think of that. But anyway, so I'm thinking, okay, yeah, maybe we're in medieval times, but then the stupid butterfly shows up and he's saying random song lyrics.
Yeah.
That technically are communicating what he's, but don't exactly work. Here's my main problem. None of those songs were from that time period. There was stuff from the early 1900s. There was stuff from the 70s and the 80s. This is medieval times, people. Yes, it's a fantasy. It's still medieval times. Why are you saying stuff I heard in a Bugs Bunny cartoon followed by stuff I heard in a 70s cartoon? Oh. Heck, why aren't you just quoting the stupid song we just heard about when the last eagle flies? Like, that would have made more friggin' sense.
It's reminiscent of Genie from Aladdin.
Except there it worked.
Yeah.
Because the way his comedic timing made you go, okay, this is just what it is. He's breaking the fourth wall. I'm just going to go with it. And also Robin Williams didn't take it as far as the stupid anachronistic butterfly did. Because, and the thing is, Genie doesn't start doing that until you are a quarter of the way into the movie.
Yeah.
At least. Maybe even farther. Maybe a third of the way into the movie. Yeah. I think it's not till the half-hour mark, and it's only an hour-and-a-half movie. Mm-hmm. This is in the first 5 minutes. We just got out of the slideshow that is the opening titles of this movie. Ugh. And we're learning about the world, and we've just heard the stupid unicorn go,
Surely I can't be the last butterfly.
The last butterfly?
Surely I can't be the last unicorn. Surely there must be others. Unicorns don't just disappear. Oh, look, here's a butterfly. Hey, butterfly, do you know who I am? Say my name!
Seaman.
And he's like, of course I know who you are, but you're this thing and you're that thing. You're the wind beneath my wings. I don't know. He says crap like that, and it goes on for 5 minutes. And we are not moving the plot anywhere. As far as we know, oh yes, the unicorns are still alive. It's just they're now hiding from the hunters. It's like, get to the point, you stupid anachronistic butterfly. I was going to say something else with that, but I forgot what it was. Oh. I hate the anachronistic butterfly. He annoys me, and I kind of wish that she had ate him.
Oh my gosh. Oh, just kind of bouncing off your point where the unicorn is fed up kind of like you are with the butterfly. She's like, "Oh, you're just talking, lyrics and
riddles
and riddles you've heard." And he says something else. It's like, be like, tell me more. Do you know where they went? It's like, you just told him to fly off.
Yes.
And you're now asking
he's-
him more?
And the bad thing is, you just asked him where the Red Bull is. That means you just allowed him to say, well, Red Bull gives you wings. It's like, no, it doesn't. It gives you fins. Because they all go into the ocean. Anyway,
Yeah.
Josh in the chat asked, well, what anachronistic means. I guess I should explain.
Yeah.
Have you heard of an anachronism where something is out of place, such as, I don't know, a cell phone in medieval times? That would be an anachronism. So when the character is talking about things, much like how Genie in Aladdin is making all these references from what was then modern day, he should not know those things because those things have not happened yet. So that's an anachronism that it's happening.
Yeah.
It would be like seeing a machine gun in the Civil War.
Yeah.
That would be an anachronism. Here, he's just talking so many stupid lyrics that if he is literally hearing these things, and that's where he's picking them up to say and repeat over and over, and which is what they're kind of implying,
Yep.
he really shouldn't even be hearing those songs in order to make that terminology. But anyway,
Alrighty.
what's your third dislike?
My third dislike. Now, this is the scene where Smidrick is at the clock and he's trying to figure out how to get to the Red Bull.
By the way, I hate.
Oh, yeah.
But anyway.
How does the riddle go again?
I don't remember. I just remember the answer was walk through the clock,
Yeah, walk through the clock.
which
Like-
shouldn't work. But
You know, it's just the clock. Time is time, so just walk through it.
Time is relative. Lunchtime doubly so.
But I would say animation wise, and I guess it's more. There's this speed up problem with the film.
I mean, yeah, there are pacing problems, but I don't think that's what you're referring to.
No, what I'm referring to is the point where Spencer is trying to figure out how the clock works, and it's winding up, then it's speeding up, or what have you. And so Amalthea and Lear are coming in, and you see this one little scene where Spencer has to go from one side of the clock to another, and it's sped up.
Well, yeah, that happened. It shouldn't, but it does.
Yeah, I'm just like, what the heck? Like, it should be a normal walk cycle. It's not like they just sped up everything.
Or better yet, do like they used to do in old Scooby-Doo cartoons. Have the cameras shift over to Lady Amalthea for a couple seconds and then shift back when he's in position.
Yeah, but no, it's just like you literally see him
Like so.
you see him speed up to go around the clock where he's hidden. I'm like, what the heck?
It's like, okay, here's the thing. I can kind of understand why that would happen in, say, a live action movie where you just have the films you film and you realize, oh, he needed to get over there faster, but we don't have time to go back and refilm it, so we're just
Right.
gonna speed him up to get to that little bit over there.
Right.
I can kind of forgive that. I understand that. You realize they had to animate all those extra frames they sped up.
Yeah.
That's a lot of work that they somehow left in there that they really didn't need to.
Yeah, I would agree.
But anyway,
Yeah. So that is my number 3, Smidrick in the clock scene.
which that brings us to the end of this episode.
Yes.
So we need to review this. We need to give a score for this thing.
Yeah, I want to hear yours first.
I'm giving it a 7.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Believe it or not, I'm giving it 7. It was a fun movie.
Yeah.
A lot of what I've complained about, while it did come easily to my mind,
Yeah.
it's forgivable. I can kind of not chalk that up to being part of the film's charm.
Yeah.
In the same way that I can chalk up, the fact that Godzilla's mouth doesn't move all the time when he roars, that sort of a thing.
Yes.
In the old Godzilla film, so I can kind of work that way. It's just part of how the film was made, and it doesn't really take away from the film itself. Well, except for maybe that stupid anachronistic butterfly. But yeah, I'm giving it a 7 because it's still a good movie, and if I had kids, I don't know if I'd let them watch it, but I enjoyed it. So yeah.
Yeah. So now, granted, to our audience, we don't review, we don't give our scores or anything to each other beforehand.
Right.
So I'm also giving
we
you
have
7.
literally do not talk about it except for, hey, I saw the movie. Oh, what'd you think? Oh, I enjoyed it. That sort of thing. We don't go into this deep discussion because we know we want it fresh for the show.
Yeah, exactly. And most of them, we're doing our scores prior hand.
Oh, I don't. I figure it up right when I say I'm giving it a 7.
Yeah, most of them like I already got my score before I come to the studio. So I'm giving it a 7. I'm nostalgic for this film. I enjoyed it as a kid, even though it's primarily it's a girls' film. It's primarily directed towards girls.
I didn't see that, but okay.
Yeah.
Just because it's got a unicorn in it?
Yeah.
What, are you anti-mythical horse?
No.
Anyway.
Don't accuse me of nothing I'm not saying. Either way, the primary demographic of this film definitely then and now are girls.
It is aimed at girls. I'll let that go.
It is aimed at girls. And
it is a much more fluffier story and not about the heroism of Prince Lear.
Yeah, that's true. But yeah, well, they said the exact same thing about The Little Mermaid, and that movie did just bonkers, and everybody wouldn't watch that film. But either way, yeah, I enjoyed this film. Yeah, it's got some weird problems, and the music's just kind of what the heck. And this I think this review was funny because I laughed my head off with your dislikes. We're absolutely hilarious. So bravo on that.
I try.
Try. Well, you succeeded very much, my friend. So yeah, I'm giving it a 7. Is it worth a watch? Yes. Is it family friendly? Mostly, yes.
There is like one shot on the harpy.
Yes.
Where it's very obvious she's female.
Yeah, very much.
A very old female.
Yes. Yeah. There's
kids
some...
probably wouldn't notice, but boy,
Yeah, I did. I noticed when I was a kid. I was like, what the world? There are a few curse words. So yeah, it's one of those caution if you're one of those parents that are very much, I'm going to view everything my kid watches beforehand. Definitely if you're an adult, yeah, go check this movie out. It's an older film. To me, it's probably one of my favorite Rankin Bass productions I've ever seen. Even the screenwriter, the writer of this movie was so shocked when he saw the screening of it. He's like, I can't believe this is a Rankin Bass film, and I'm the exact same one. I'm like, wow, this is good. This is a good film. Like, yeah, it's got its problems, but it's a good film. Go watch it. Mm-hmm. I bought this version for the occasion.
Well, I bought it online, but anyway.
Yeah, either way.
So that brings us to the end of the episode, which we need to announce what our next movie is.
Yes.
It's a story about a man who wants to steal the moon with the help of a bunch of corn pops.
Banana!
Perhaps. We are actually going to be reviewing the original Despicable Me. Because we actually are going to somehow try to get through all 5 movies before Minions 2.
Oh my gosh.
Well, why? I don't know, but we're going to go for it.
We're going to torture ourselves through this, but...
Actually, I like the Despicable Me movies. It's the Minions I don't like.
Okay.
But anyway.
I have a very interesting commentary on the first time I watched this movie.
We'll get there. When we get there. So, and there's the train, which kind of tells us we need to be wrapping this up.
Right.
I suppose. Join us next time for that. And until then, this has been Drew.
This is Jacob.
And we'll catch you in the next frame.
Banana.
I'm a unicorn, and I think you ought to listen to the show.
Come, Jacob. We must prepare for next week.
Prepare for what, Drew?
The same thing we do every week, Jacob. Record a podcast.
Oh, boy.
So where can they find you, Jacob?
You can find me on Facebook at Jacob B. Heron, also on Facebook at Jacob's Daily Art Corner, where I try to draw each and every day. I don't get to it as often as I like, but join me there. Also, you can find me on Instagram at Jacob B. Heron, on Twitter at Jacob Heron, and Letterboxd at Jacob Heron. So where can they find you, Drew?
You can also follow me on Letterboxd at GGeorge759, Facebook as Drew Dodgen, my Facebook page where you can see pictures I've taken at Drew's Photo Bin. You can also follow me on Twitter at GGeorge759.
You can email us at thecellcastpodcast@gmail.com.
You can also follow us on Twitter at cast_cell.
You can follow us on Twitch at twitch.tv/thecellcastgaming.
You can also follow us on YouTube at Cellcast.
Listen to our podcast on Apple Podcasts,
Google Play Podcasts,
Stitcher,
Spotify,
and your favorite podcast directory.
You can also listen to us on the Movie of the Week podcast with Jim Heron, where we talk about live-action movies. And remember, Cell is a single L.